Okay, first thing I did was I put in this little horn for the elevator, and I put in the control rod. Reason why I did that, I did the gluing on this earlier because I'm using 1 hour epoxy. Now, a lot of people are saying 1 hour epoxy, but the nice thing about 1 hour epoxy, it's much stronger than 5-minute epoxy, so I can use less of it. Very important there. Next thing I want to do is dry fitting my components that I'm going to be gluing. Alright, there's a good reason for this, is that you never know what isn't quite right. So you've got to dry fit everything before you attempt to put your plane together. Also, all the surfaces where glue is going, I have sanded them, or at least I used steel wool on them. You need to get a rough surface on them for the glue to really adhere properly. You can also clean them with alcohol. Of course, check on your foam, make sure alcohol isn't going to be bother anything. It's very unlikely it will, but you know, we want to make sure. Okay, next trick in the horse and pony show here. Start dry fitting. Here I have the tail. Throw that on here. Set it to where it's supposed to be. And now we're going to take a look at the travel. And what we have here, it looks pretty good actually. Make sure that it's in the right spot. And it appears to be in the right spot. And it just barely misses this little tail nub. I thought it was going to hit because of the way it was, but appears not to. If it does, when I'm done, I could always trim that up a little bit with a knife. We're going to see how this goes in. The tail looks good, fits in there good. The tail fin fits in there very well. Next I'm going to look at the wing. Very important thing with this is the wing is taking all the stress of this aircraft. So this has got to be done very, very well for the plane to survive in the air and to keep it from flying apart. Here you will see the wing fits beautifully. It has a nice smooth contour right there. So I'm satisfied with the wing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand off the wing and get that ready to glue. Now when it comes to the speed controller, the radio, everything else, we'll be setting that stuff in a little while. Want to see where the center of gravity ends up on this plane before we do. Again, I'm going to be using 1 hour epoxy on everything. And the reason why is because it's very strong, so it won't be insane. So it won't be insanely brittle or anything like that. It's going to just work. So that's important to me. Alright, here I've started out. I put a small amount of glue along the fuselage where the wing is going to connect, and also on the wing, making certain that the excess will not drip out the side where the wing is, because that might not be pretty. Now we're going to connect these two together very simply, and I'm in no rush because I'm using 1 hour epoxy, so no rush whatsoever. Get this in here. We don't have to hurry, so we can get it in place just like that, exactly the way we want it. We'll take a little clear tape, don't need a whole lot of clear tape, just a little bit, put a little under the wing, and then stretch it a little tight and put it there. nice and tight. The reason why we're making sure it's nice and tight, we want a good tight seal right here and here. And that's exactly what we have right now. So, except for letting this thing dry for a couple of hours, the wing is done. Okay, next piece of this is going to be the tail. I've already cleaned the tail with alcohol, and I've got lots of my epoxy left. And again, it is not necessary to overdo it on this. Overdoing makes a heavy plane. You just got to use good glue for the job. CA is not the right stuff for this particular job. Yes, Fido, I hear you. My dog is complaining I'm not paying him enough attention. He gets lots of attention. So he's not neglected. He just has to deal with this while I'm working. Also on the tail, what I'm doing here, I'm just doing the inside edge. Just a little extra, just to hold it a little bit better. Only my dog's name is Fido. Fido, you can come in if you want. I don't mind if you come in and see what I'm doing. That's okay. Maybe he can build the next plane. Put that nice and in place. Now, again, absolutely critical. It's to tape stuff down. I'm not satisfied with that. I'm going to tape it down the fuselage. Right here. And on the other side, I'm going to hope that I can get this tape off later. Let me just get that in there. And checking the control surfaces. That looks okay. I would say the tail's good. Okay, at this point I set the fuselage on just loosely and set it in the right position, and I set the electronics into the positions where I probably want them. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to check the balance of this plane now. Now, we want it just ahead of this first line. And the answer is, it is nose heavy as hell. Come back a little bit, and it's still really nose heavy. That's good. I still don't have the tail on. If I set the tail in place, the stabilizer, it should improve a little bit, which it did. Now it's still very nose heavy. That's good. Most people are having problems with this plane being tail heavy. I'm having trouble with it being nose heavy. I'm running the Forest battery. The Forest battery is a little heavier. Handful of other things. My electronics are way far forward, so I figured what I would do is try it there first. I'm not satisfied yet. It's actually a little bit too nose heavy for my liking. So I'm going to take the receiver and I'm going to sit it back into the back compartment. That's back here. Just to see if that improves the center of gravity of this plane. And you line up the numbers because that's where it's going to ultimately be. Now I moved the receiver back. Now the receiver don't weigh squat, so who knows what it's going to do. It is way nice and nose heavy. I'm satisfied that we're going to be no problem balancing this plane out. So not a problem. I kind of like them nose heavy, so this may work just as it is, but I'm thinking just a little more, just a little further back with some of the stuff, and it should be okay.